Part of why I went in the military and part of what I feel here, it's my opportunity to do something about helping the public, and they don't even necessarily really know about it. You know, most of the people I talk about with this job with are not aware that we have divers.
We have the divers inspect, it's like approximately 2,100 bridges.
On average, you have about a foot visibility. Our inspections are 99% hands-on, maybe 1% visual.
So it's kind of like mountain climbing with a scuba tank on your back. It's a little interesting job.
I was in the Navy on submarines. I wanted to become a diver, so went to Navy dive school.
Went to a commercial dive school in around 2000. Started working commercially out in the Gulf and overseas.
I was looking for a job and I saw there was an advertisement in the newspaper for a diver position, and that's not a very common thing.
I was put out disabled. I had a military-connected injury, and whenever I got out, my parents came here. I came to take care of them. Looked in the paper, and there was no submarine jobs, and there was a diving job, so that's how I came on with the state.
Travel and the hours were paying a toll on my home life, and my brother is a bridge inspector, told me about the job in Georgia, so I migrated from Seattle this way. A little warmer weather, and home a little more.
So I went and applied, and you know, one of their requirement types was either commercial diver or you had recreational certification through rescue, which is what I had. And so I signed on to be with them, and it was a very exciting thing to travel and dive.
Our typical travel is we'll leave on Monday and come back Thursday in the evening. And that's 1 week out, and then we'll be 1 week in town. Monday is normally to clean and replenish the gear that was used. And then Tuesday we'll do local bridges with 60-mile radius of the office. We're looking for structural deficiencies. The number one thing is scour is the main problem that we find on structures. Depending on the actual construction of the bridge is what we're looking for too. If it's timber, you can have more damage. Checks where the water comes in. Steel, it's rust, to where you end up getting a section loss of the steel. And then concrete, it's mostly cracks.
We plan everything out at the office before we leave. You know, decide on where we're going and what we're going to need, test the equipment, and then we go from bridge to bridge.
The typical wading bridge you can do in a short period of time. We can do maybe 8 bridges, 10 bridges a day if they're wading bridges. Bridges here on the coast, it'll take all day to do one bridge, and we'll rotate through divers because you can only be down so long. We have a supervisor, which is myself. My assistant's David. Although we do change roles, if I'm in the water, he's actually the dive supervisor. He's in control of taking the notes and directing me on getting the information, and vice versa, depending on who's in the water. We adapt a lot of our equipment. We have 4-foot survey rods that every foot we double tape up so we can actually feel it if it's at each foot interval. And in that probe rod, you can go around an entire footing, and you find a void, you can push it down, you can actually feel the depth and the penetration. We also do scuba with wireless communications, so I can actually relay that information to the dive sup or vice versa.
We have 3 dive methods. One is surface supply, one is scuba, and one is wading. We go to each bridge and suit up, go underneath the bridge and inspect it, and then come back out and go to the next bridge.
Out of town 1 week, in town the next week, back and forth, rotating, and take care of wading bridges in 2-man teams. We come across a scuba bridge, we pass it up, we come back with a third person to do a 3-man team for scuba inspections. Surface supplied inspections are pre-planned out, already knowing that they're surface supplied, and it takes both of the 2-man teams, a total of 4 people to conduct those.
We're trying to get more and more of the scuba bridges onto the surface supplied list, because it's a little safer method using the surface supply. It just stations it out well, and you have plenty of people there to do the different jobs that it requires.
We inspect bridges from the swamps to the coast, to the lakes. So any wildlife you can think of, we pretty much come across.
More than gators we have is snakes. We see a lot of snakes. I have even gotten chased out of the water by a snake. It wasn't a big snake, but but I still screamed like a girl when it came at me. So
it all depends on the season, of course, what you find. Lots of snakes, not just in the water, dropping out of trees right next to you. We also run across alligators, and lots of spiders, lots of wasps, owls. I mean, just tremendous wildlife. You name it.
I don't care for spiders too much, and they'll jump. They're down in South Georgia. They grow them big, and they look like a tarantula on the side of a pile, and they'll jump off the pile and hit the water, and then you're the nearest thing to them, so they'll run across the top of the water at you.
And some bridges are some people's homes too, so you find some interesting people on some of them.
Some of them living under the bridge. We call them urban outdoorsmen.
You got to put safety first. You know, when I go under the water, I got to be able to trust that person that's in the boat with my life, because, you know, the backup diver or the guy running the rack box, he's controlling my air. So we all have to work together and trust each other. And without that, you know, like I say, it could be bad. So,
you know, without that confidence, you really, it makes it difficult to do your job if you're not comfortable doing that. And it's my personal opinion that we as a team are, you know, we have that. Even from the more easy inspection of two people, you have the one that's in the water, the waiter or diver. He still has to count on what, if something happens, if he gets bit by a snake or a log jam shifts or something like that, that the person on the bank can get him the help and assistance you need. And you don't want to have to be thinking about that while you're doing your inspection. You want to be able to be calm and comfortable and do those things.
Right. We need more people. We need a four-man team. Each dive team needs to have at least 4 people. Right now, there's, like I say, there's the 2 of us on one team, and then David and Sean on the other team. So we have to pull from that team to, say we're going to go do scuba, we have to pull one of them from their team, and then that leaves them short a person. So instead of being out and inspecting, you know, 2 teams out inspecting, you're down to 1. You do service supply, it takes all of us. So, and we're back down to the 1 team. So if each team had 4, then we could go our separate ways and get inspections done, more inspections done.
We do definitely need more people and more funding. When we talk about surface applied and having a 4-person minimum, you're talking about having somebody that's your diver, somebody that's a backup diver, a tenderer, and then the person who's going to be running the rack box communication, which is the breathing and being able to talk to the diver. That's bare bones minimum. I mean, if something happens, and we can take care of it, but we're at the minimum.
Because we're on a, you know, in-town week, out-of-town week schedule where we're having to worry about trying to schedule those furlough days and not mess up, you know, our inspection cycles.
And I mean, it makes things a lot more difficult. I mean, for everybody, of course, with the furloughs. But again, with, you know, your bridges being on certain time frames, you know, we have to go back and recalculate how we can get to those bridges. And once we've laid our plans out, then you've got to take a furlough day into account, and now you've got to shift things down, and you know that makes things difficult.
And as far as the traveling public, they should have no concerns of the safety of the bridges that we look at. We do not leave a bridge unless we are 100% sure that it is safe. And we take our job very serious.
And that if there are any problems, that it's taken care of immediately, and we don't leave the site until things are taken care of.
We take pride in what we do, and especially, like I say, keeping the public safe and keeping each other safe, and it means a lot.
Yeah, but I know for one that I have children going across these bridges, so I have personal stake in this as well. You know, everyone does, somebody that, you know, that they care about, and we're out there doing something about that. I think that with the camaraderie that we have, that we make it work, even under the most difficult circumstances, that we make it work, and we keep people safe.